I hope you're happy. Hello everyone, I'm Father Aaron. Welcome to the Dungeon Minister! Okay, the screw is out of the wall, now everyone can pay attention to the story. That story being that our heroes, Bob, Johnny, and Fleetwood, the 4th level elves, Touchberry, the 5th level halfling, and Fowfire, the 6th level thief, they have been camping on the banks of the River Unwin, just south of the village of Babel, which is named after a brook which babbles into the River Unwin at this point. The village, in my imagined history, grew up around the brook first and then spread along the banks of the Unwin. At any rate, the heroes are camping south of this village because they don't want to go there. They are nervous about going there. They're pretty sure that someone in that village ratted them out to the werewolves. Someone in that village betrayed them, told the werewolves where they could be found, and set them on their trail. Now, they don't have any proof of this, but that's the only place where they contacted people in any sort of extended way, other than, waving from the boat as they went past them on the river. They stopped there, they stayed in an inn, and they're pretty sure that's where their scent was picked up. Not their literal scent, they were on a boat on a river, but you know what I mean. So, after having fled from the snare wood and the werewolves who had cornered them there and they figured would return, after having fled from there and crossing the River Unwin, they've made camp south of Babel, on the banks of the river. The river here carves through the landscape, and there's farmland up top, and then it drops down a ways, maybe 5 to 10 feet, and then there's a lower area, and that's where they camped, right alongside the river. And this is where we began the session. I asked them, what's your order for the watch? Because they always set a watch. They always have someone on guard. So what's the order for the watch? And it turns out Fowfire had the last watch of the day. She was watching, into the dawn. So she is the one on guard when, at dawn, coming from the direction of the village, there approaches a troop of armed people with spears and swords, leather armor, metal caps on their heads, soldiers. They look a bit ragtag. Their equipment appears to be designed to all look the same, but it's designed by someone who's not very good at making these things. As they approach, I say, about half of them appear to be pretty tough, pretty serious customers. The other half look, like bakers and leathersmiths and things like that pushed into service. But they are approaching, and there is a dozen of them. The first thing Fowfire does, of course, is stick her head into the tent and wake up her companions. Wake up, we've got company. Up they get, and they're ready for action. They are already tense, they're already on edge. They've been hunted, they're afraid. They are low in hit points. Remember, from their last session, they haven't healed much. I always give 1d6 plus 1 for a night's rest. So they've got that, but they're still low. They're still in the low 20s, low to mid 20s, which used to be great for them, but, they're getting up there. So this feels a little vulnerable for them. I think actually Touchberry may be a bit higher because he starts higher, and Bob Johnny, I think, is in the high teens when we start. So he's not doing so great. But down upon the camp, this troop comes, and they see the tent. Others have passed by in the very early light. Others were passing by, farmers on their way into the village, etc., and they paid the tent no mind. These folks are on their way. They've actually come specifically because someone mentioned the tent. By the time the other three have strapped on weapons and are out of the tent, the troop is assembled on the upper bank above them, looking down, and Fowfire has been having a conversation. Who are you? What are you doing here? We're just traveling through the area, made camp for the night, that's all. Why didn't you come into the village? Oh, is there a village up there? We didn't know. We came from the south. We didn't know there was a village there. How close is it? Only an hour's march away. Where did you come from? We were down in Kamoik. We were selling onions. We were selling onions down in Kamoik. Selling onions in Kamoik? You've been through our village, haven't you? You came through here earlier, about a week ago. Yes, we stayed at the inn. Then why didn't you know there was a village there? Well, we didn't know how far up the river. We don't have a map, so we're just following the river. We didn't realize we'd gotten this far north. If we had, we would have gone. It was a lovely inn. Enjoyed ourselves a great deal. Good service, yes. These parts are dangerous. You'd best come with us. There's no need. We don't need to. And by now, of course, the others are out, and they begin to enter into the conversation as well. No, we don't need to come with you. We're fine. We can take care of ourselves. There are dangerous people about. Dangerous people and worse. Come with us. Conversation around the table. I don't want to go with them. Touchberry in particular says, let's just leave. Let's just pack up and walk away. Just leave. If they try to force us, then we fight. Touchberry's a bit of a hothead. Okay, but the others are like, no, we don't want to arouse suspicion. Remember, we are still on a secret mission. And although the werewolves apparently know we're here, they don't necessarily know why. And we owe it to Count Kilmarnock, to Lord Cormac, to keep this hush-hush. We're still in the Baron's territory, remember. We don't want this news getting out of why we're here. Just as a side, remember, Count Kilmarnock is fomenting a rebellion against the king, and the Baron is apparently loyal to the king. So he doesn't want anyone to know. Finally, they decide, no, we will go with them. We'll go into the village, and then we'll just keep proceeding on from there. Maybe we'll stop, we'll have something to eat, and then we'll just keep going, right? They can't argue with that. How would they detain us? But let's be on our guard. If these soldiers do anything, it's fight time. So they pack up the tent, they get their gear in order, up the bank they go, and they begin heading north with the company of soldiers. These soldiers are village guards that normally do sort of light policing work in the village and have been pressed into a more serious service. Judging by the conversations they're hearing, they can tell that this is all quite new to them. The soldiers, some of the less experienced ones, are complaining that their helmets feel bad and I don't like wearing this, why do we have to wear these now? Things like that. They clearly are not used to this level of militarism. The more experienced ones, the 5 or 6 that seem to be, a little more serious, they're perfectly comfortable. Their gear also looks better made. So, on they march, and the players are observing what's happening. They march up to the village. As they enter, they cross the babbling brook from which the village gets its name, and then they take a right turn into a small village square. The buildings on this square are mostly half timber. There's some stone in use here and there, but mostly half timbered, mostly wood, and with thatched roofs. There stands one very prominent building that is stone on the ground floor, and then the first floor up is half timbered, and the roof of this one is shingled rather than thatched. It's a little fancier. It is to this building that the guards lead the heroes. Where are we going? Where are you taking us? There's one of this guard who appears to be in charge, the guard captain. He looks older, a little more grizzled. He's clearly in charge. The others defer to him. The Reeve will want to see you. There's conversation around the table. What's a Reeve? Well, it's kind of like a mayor, a sheriff, a low-level local official. Okay, why would the Reeve want to see us? An armed group camping near the village with all the trouble we've had? He'll want to see you. They walk up. There are 2 guards posted outside of this building. The captain nods at them and enters. They walk into a low-ceilinged room. All the rooms are going to be low-ceilinged. That's just the way things are built in my world. A low-ceilinged room. It occupies the entire footprint of the lower level. There are a couple of posts in the middle of the room to help hold up the floor above. In this room, there's tables scattered about, maybe 4 or 5 tables with chairs and stools and benches around them. This is where the village holds meetings. This is where village business is conducted. In the corner is a rickety wooden staircase going up. The captain says, "Wait here." There are 2 other of the soldiers have come in with them, 2 of the more experienced-looking ones. The captain crosses the room, goes up the stairs. There are muffled voices from upstairs, and then down the stairs comes the captain of the guard, followed by the Reeve. The Reeve is a short, portly gentleman. I've decided that the people in this area all tend toward short. They're all a little on the short side. Anyhow, down he comes. He's dressed in fancy clothes. Not as fancy as anything you'd see in Kilmarnock, but still nicer than you'd expect in a small village. Nicer than the mayor of Honeywood would wear, for instance. He's in reds and purples. He has long, sort of shoulder-length, scraggly black hair, balding on top, large mustache, and eyes and a face that look like they're accustomed to being friendly. Lots of laugh lines and things like that. But he's not friendly now. He looks at them with a cold stare. "What have you been doing around our village? Who are you? Where do you come from? Who do you serve?" Well, the players are a little taken aback by this. "We're just traveling. We were camping. It's nothing big. We're just on our way through. You lot were here selling onions before, weren't you? Who sells onions like that? Anyone can grow onions. Why would you be gathering them up to sell?" "Well, it's just what we have. We're trying to make a living. It's not a big deal. We were just coming through and where were you going with those onions? Where did you sell them?" "Down to Camoik." And at this point, my eldest says, "Is there a problem?" And he puts his hand on his sword, which was not a good idea, but that's what he did. The guards in the room tense, and the Reeve straightens up. And suddenly his face changes. "Don't worry, Master Elf. We're all friends here, aren't we?" And he gestures at his guards to lower their weapons because they tensed up. "We're all friends here. I am responsible for the security of this small village, and perhaps I take it a little too seriously. I am very sorry. You are most welcome here, most welcome. Yeah, you must be hungry. My captain tells me that he woke you up. I am sorry about that. You wouldn't have eaten anything then. You must have some breakfast. Stop at one of our inns. We have wonderful inns, very good food." Okay, what brought that on? Around the table there is deep suspicion. I don't trust this guy. And at this point again, Touchberry's like, "Let's just kill him. Let's just kill him." Okay, calm down, Touchberry. Everyone has to sort of, calm my middle guy down. No, we're not going to go randomly killing the Reeve of this village. Let's go have some breakfast. They are hungry, and they do need some rest. They need to heal up on hit points. Let's just play along for now, okay? Thank you, Reeve. We are most pleased to visit your village, and we are going to have a meal. We are quite hungry. Now there's talk around the table. They're going to poison us. We're going to order food, and it'll come, and it'll be poisoned. And so, again, Touchberry says he's going to have his ration bag under the table. And, they'll order the food, but he won't touch it. He'll just eat his rations from under the table. I know that a halfling isn't going to be able to do that. And eventually they say, no, they're not going to poison us. We'll just go. They don't know which inn we're going to go to anyway. So fine. We'll just pick an inn. We'll go there. We'll order some food. Great. Thank you very much, Reeve. We'll be on our way. Out the door they go. Outside, the two guards are still posted at the door. As they come out, a little ways across the square, there's an elderly woman walking, and she spots them and cries out, "Help us!" And she rushes up. Please, terrible things are happening. Terrible things are happening. Can't you help us? Can't you help?" At this point, the guards push forward. They bring their weapons down and say, "Get out of here, old lady." So she screams and heads off across the square, heading out of an alleyway on the other side. Again, Touchberry wants to retaliate with violence. Again, his fellow players hold him back. His brothers mostly, "Stop it. No, we're not killing these guards. We can't go doing that." But they want to follow the lady. Okay? So some cold stares, some nasty looks to the guards. They scoot across that square to where the old lady had gone. They follow down the alleyway they saw her take, but they don't see her anywhere. This particular alleyway goes toward the brook. They head in that direction and turn a corner, and there she stands. She's shaking. She is afraid. She's looking around nervously, and she says, Oh, thank you. Thank you for following me. Oh, thank heavens you followed me. I have to talk to you, I do." Why? What do you have to talk to us about? What's going on? How terrible things. It's the Reeve. He's changed. He's changed. I don't know what's going on with him, but it's terrible now. It's terrible. I know, my women all tend to sound like the laundress from Christmas Carol. Anyhow, it all started a while back, when you lot came through the village last time. Apparently, their passage through Babel Brook left quite an impression. It was just after that the howling started. Howling? Every night, howling. Wolves they was all round the village. It was terrifying. Whole place was ringing with the sound of their howling. We was afraid, we was. They were finding animals mauled to death out in the country. Pigs that was left out, cows what was left out, just torn to pieces. It was terrible, terrible. That's when the Reeve changed. What do you mean the Reeve changed? Oh, he got all anxious, all on edge, and he didn't seem to care about nobody no more. And Reeve used to know everybody and care about everyone, ask how we was doing, come around for a visit. He didn't even look at me, look right through me one day. And he grew up with my own children, played with my boys, he did. He's eaten more meals at my table than he's eaten at his own. I've known him since he was little guy. And he just looked right through me. Okay, this accent is out of control now. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, that's probably what's happening. But the worst of it just happened last night. The worst of it, it's terrible. What's terrible? And of course, she's looking around all the time. She does not want to be heard, so they start to get nervous. What's terrible? What happened? Last night, the Reeve killed a man, he did. Killed a man? Killed a man? Killed a man? Killed a man? Now, I should tell it proper. That howling, after a little while it stopped, right? After 2 or 3 nights it stopped. It's like they moved off. And I thought, well, the Reeve, he'll be back to normal now. He's just been nervous, right? He's supposed to protect us and he's afraid, so that's why he's so anxious. But he didn't get no better. He got worse. And then he hired some men. I don't know where they came from, but they just showed up one day. Big, tough guys. Captain of the guard now, one of them. And some of the other guards, too. He hired them. He said they were security for the village, but mostly they just guard him, they do. They stick by him. Yeah, we've met them. Nice bunch. Well, other night, howling starts back up again. Just quiet at first, but getting louder and louder. And then they're all over the place. There's more of them. And they came into the village, they did. Oh, we was all indoors. Everyone went into their houses, shut and locked and shutters and everything. We could hear them out here in our own square, in our own streets, snorting and growling and howling. They was all over the place, they was, looking for something, they was. I suspect you know something about them, don't you? And the player said, well, we know about werewolves. Go on with your story. Well, last night, a bunch of the menfolk go over to the Reeve's hole, the place you just was. They go over there, saying that the Reeve has to do more to keep these creatures at bay. It's his job to keep us safe. He's got to do his job. He's got more soldiers now. He should do his job, right? A silly thing to do. Man's doing his best, I think. But they go over there anyway. They're going to tell him what for, they think. Apparently things got heated. I wasn't there, but apparently things got heated. And Connell, I've always thought he was a tough man. He always thought he was a big man. Apparently he gets close, all up toward the Reeve. And of course Connell was big. He was a tall man. He gets all up on the Reeve. Reeve said he felt threatened. Said he was being attacked. Quick as you know, there's a dagger out between Connell's ribs. Down Connell goes. Reeve says it was self-defense. Everyone else says it's murder. Guards won't do nothing. They're the ones who's supposed to arrest someone for murder. Won't do nothing. They won't touch him. Whole town's on edge now. I just learned about it this morning. Whole town's on edge. Again, at this point, Touchberry says, let's go kill him. Let's just go kill him. No, we can't just go kill him. That's not our job. This is not our town. Cool it, Touchberry. I don't know what's happened to our Reeve. He's such a lovely man. I don't know what's happened. Can you help him? Or at least stop him? Yeah, we can try. And here my eldest takes over, as he often does. Yeah, we can try. We've had experience with this before. You see, he's comparing it to when the werewolves took over Honeywood, and he thinks the same thing has happened. He thinks that I've just, rebooted the same story. It's werewolves again, And there's been werewolves about. It's reasonable. This would be the second time that I made them think it was werewolves when it wasn't. But anyhow, all right, yeah, we'll deal with it. First, we got to find out what's going on.
Thank ye. Don't say anything about this. Don't tell no one I talked to you. Thank ye.
And she disappears around the corner. Now, the players are very confident at this point that they know what happened. The mayor was bitten by a werewolf, and that's why he's acting this way. When Fofire was bitten by a werewolf, she gradually became more animalistic, angrier, quicker temper, more hungry, literally. So that's what's happened. That's what they figure is going on. All we have to do is you find out for sure, run up to Kilmarnock, bring a cleric down, or take the Reeve hostage and run him up to Kilmarnock, march him up there, get him cured somehow, or at least, kill him, whatever. We have to deal with this. Great. But first, they're going to have breakfast because they're legitimately hungry. So they head over to the Babel Brook Inn. It's the one they know, and it's right there on the square. In they go. The place is moderately busy. There's a dozen or so people here, travelers who are in town for business, workmen, having a meal here before they head off for their day's work. This is one of the few inns that actually serves a morning meal, so this is kind of the place to go. And they find a table and sit down. As they sit down, Fleetwood and Bob Johnny surreptitiously pull out their spell books and start memorizing spells for the day. Fleetwood takes Sleep, Light, ESP, and Wizard Lock. Bob Johnny takes Magic Missile, Charm, Web, and Knock. Now, as Bob Johnny and Fleetwood are doing that, Fofire and Touchberry keep their ears open. The conversation in the room is hushed and it is tense. Word has gotten around about the murder last night, or the self-defense, depending on whose story you believe. Anyhow, word has gotten around and things are tense. When the server comes over, she's clearly distracted, though she recognizes them, and eventually says, "Everything started after you lot came through the first time. Who are you?" They, give their story about the onion merchant. She reluctantly takes their order and goes to get it prepared. Meanwhile, the conversation in the room is all centered on the Reeve. The hushed bits they can hear, it is about the Reeve and what's been happening in the village lately, and these are some of the things that they hear. Someone insists there's nothing wrong with the Reeve. He's just a bit high-strung lately because of the onion merchants that came through and tried to put their farmers out of business. At this, the PCs sort of shrink a bit more. The Reeve is a drinker. That's the problem. And he'd had it under control, but then when those werewolves came, he fell right off the wagon. He wasn't in his right mind last night. He doesn't even know what he did. I hear the Reeve has been walking patrol every night. Walks patrol around the village with his guards every night. He's doing everything he can. And them morons go over there telling him he's not doing enough. Well, no wonder he snapped. These are the things they hear around the room. Their food arrives, they eat it. They don't do the whole poison thing. They just trust the food. They eat it. Touchberry overpays for his food. This is something my middle guy likes to do. He likes to order, 2 gold pieces worth of food and throw down 20 or 30 gold pieces. This time, he puts down 20 platinum pieces. It's probably going to raise suspicions, but okay. They finish their meal and head back out into the square. They notice there are still 2 guards over at the Reeve's hold, and they see other guards now and then pass through the square on their way someplace. This is more militarized than a village really should be. Things are clearly on edge. And the people they see out and about their own business are doing so in a subdued, frightened way. Things are clearly not right. Okay, so the players start to talk. What are we going to do? How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to get to the bottom of what's happening? How do we stop the Reeve with all those soldiers? We also have our own business to conduct, right? They had found gems in those caves. They're hoping there's someone here who will buy the gems. And they need food. They're running low on rations. Okay, so we've got our own business to conduct. We've got this mystery. What do we do first? Well, first, let's take care of our own things. We may pick up bits and bobs along the way, clues and hints. Let's see if we can unload these gems to start with. Across the square, in the northeast corner, there is a jeweler's gemologist's shop, one of the only other stone buildings on the square, a good stout place, and to that they now head. The door is a deep red color. I mentioned that just as a detail, just painting the picture, and they thought it was significant, so they're noting that down. Oh, red door, what's that about? Just picked a color, that's all. In they go. The interior is relatively dark. There aren't a lot of windows. Again, security, you have a lot of gems and jewelry. You don't want big openings in your building. There is, however, a small window in the back corner which faces east and allows the morning sun to filter in. It comes in a shaft and lands at a work table over which is bent an elderly man. There are other work tables throughout the room, presumably to catch the sun at different times of the day. As they enter, they pass right next to the door a big, burly guy, barrel-chested, huge guy, and he's got a big club resting against the wall next to him. He straightens up as they come in and eyes them suspiciously, right? Security.
Never mind, Gregory. So suspicious. They're customers. At ease. You look like adventurers, you do. You look like you have been out in the wild. Have you been exploring dungeons? Have you found treasures? Is that why you're here?
He's got them pegged. This man has been in business for some time. And no, I have no idea what country he comes from. No.
So, you have things to sell to me?
Yeah, we do. One kind of middling and one rather serious.
Don't worry. Gregory has terrible hearing. Come.
They go to his table, and they pull out 2 gems. One was a gem they found with the adventuring party. Remember the skeletal adventuring party they discovered in the caves? It was lying amidst the treasure that group had acquired, before getting killed. So they present that one.
Citroen, moderate quality. Nothing to write home about. 45 for this one.
Then they pull out the emerald, which they had found at the back of the crocodile's throat.
Oh
my. Now, normally, a gemologist worth his salt wouldn't tip his hand like that, right? Poker face. Pretend it's worth nothing, buy it low, sell it high. But this emerald is astonishing. It's bigger, more beautiful, more pricey than anything he's ever seen before, so he can't help himself. He does recover a little bit.
I can give you 1,000, but not right now. I have to go to the bank. I have been buying so many gems lately. The Reeve has been selling gems. I don't know where he gets them all. I wonder if it has to do with his troubles. I wonder if this is why he is so upset.
And at this point, Touchberry spews, yeah, I wonder if that's why he killed the guy. First, the gemologist has heard of it. He didn't talk to anyone else this morning. Gregory apparently hadn't heard it either, or decided not to share it. This is news to the gemologist.
He killed a man. What happened?
We'd rather not say. You'll hear plenty about it. Sorry we mentioned it. Okay, 1,000 for the emerald?
Yes, 1,000 for the emerald. The Reeve killed a man. Oh, this is terrible. He has been so on edge. I wonder what happened.
They extract themselves from this. Gregor eyes them suspiciously, like maybe they killed the guy and they're blaming it on the Reeve. Anyway, out they go with promises that the gemologist will have the money by noon. Come back with the gems at noon. He'll buy them then. Great. Back into the square they go. The Reeve's been selling a lot of gems. That's interesting.